Hello, Orvar.
Hello, Nick.
Orvar, where do you fit into the scheme of things with Hasselblad?
Today I work at Hasselblad as a product manager for the H camera system.
A product manager or the product manager?
The product.
The product. So you know a thing or two about Hasselblad?
I think I do. I joined them in 1982, so seen a few things going past.
Now, I just want to talk about a few things today. There's quite a few things that users constantly say, and I'd like to hear it from the horse's mouth, as it were. The first question is, why did you guys switch from Zeiss lenses when you went to the H platform? You went to these Fujinon lenses, is that right?
Yeah, it was like that. When we had designed the whole H camera system in Sweden, it was in 99 I think. We decided we needed a partner that could help us to put the camera into production. And we choose Fuji because we know that these guys are clever and they definitely know what they are doing.
Alright, but it's generally accepted that Zeiss made better lenses than the HC lenses.
I would say it's an old misconception. You have to remember that Zeiss lenses, although they are very, very good, they were designed 20, 40 or even 50 years ago, and with modern computers and all the knowledge that we have designing lenses really makes it possible to design better lenses now. So all the HC lenses actually perform as good as or better than the corresponding V lens.
How do you measure that? I mean, how can you just say that it performs better? What, because you think it does, or?
No, we have a very sophisticated measuring devices in our labs that actually tells us the finest differences, so it's measurable.
Would you stake your reputation on it, that your H lenses perform better than the Zeiss lenses?
Yes, I will.
Alright, well we'll have to find out about your reputation, I think, in that case. Well, if that's the case then, why don't Zeiss lenses, because you guys use these software corrections, how come Zeiss lenses never had this software correction thing?
Because we haven't done it yet. I know that all the Zeiss lenses could produce better images if we were to add DAC correction.
So you're saying you might actually do that for Zeiss lenses?
Yeah, that's in the plans, and we hope to be able to introduce it in the near future. So. Now,
this DAC business, is this because the H lenses are soft to start with? The DAC sharpens them somehow?
No, you have to remember that DAC lens corrections can never make an inferior lens perform extremely well. It can only make a good lens perform even better.
But are you sharpening the lenses? Is it like an unsharp mask sort of a thing on the file?
No, we don't do any sharpening at all. The DAC is about correcting for lens distortion, vignetting and lateral chromatic aberration. And by correcting for chromatic aberration, you can improve the resolution in the outer parts.
Well, why not just make, I don't understand why you wouldn't just make the lens perfect in the first place.
Because that would produce a very, very extremely expensive lens that you couldn't afford to buy.
I can't afford to buy Hasselblad lenses anyway. So you're saying it would be more expensive?
Even that, yeah.
Even that. Okay, tell me, just without boring us all to tears, how do you actually do these? What information do you need to perform these corrections on the lenses?
We need to know all the shooting data. We need to know the distance. We need to know the aperture. We need to know, of course, the focal length of the lens. We also need to know if there are any extension tubes, if we have any converters, and if there are combinations of this. And if we have that, we can use the mathematical model of the lens where we have simulated what happens if you use this combination. And when we know that, what happens, we can remove most of the aberrations.
That all sounds a bit clever, really.
It is a bit clever, and I think we were one of the first that actually did this.
But other manufacturers are doing it. Other medium format manufacturers also have lens corrections.
Yeah, but not based on the actual shooting conditions. It's based on measured data in a certain setup, and since most of the aberrations vary tremendously with the shooting distance, it basically never works.
Do they not know what the shooting distance is?
No, they don't.
And if so, you're saying if you don't know the shooting distance, then you can't make an accurate correction. Is that right?
Exactly. And they can never make an automatic corrections as we do, because the users of our cameras don't have to do anything. The corrections are there automatically.
Well, that's interesting. Now tell me, obviously in a lens you have a number of elements, a number of bits of glass, right? And am I right in thinking that the more elements you add, the softer a lens is going to get?
No, not necessarily, because if you design all the glass elements into the same optical system, you can even enhance the performance.
Okay, I mean obviously the reason I'm asking that is that I'm quite intrigued by this HTS, this tilt shift adapter you have, and I understand that has some glass in it.
Yeah.
How many elements has it got in it?
If I remember correctly, I think it's 5 lens elements.
Well, you're the product manager, I don't know.
It's the longest time since I counted them.
Okay, we'll call it 5. So this is the concern, you know, when you start putting extra glass between your lens and your digital capture device, surely it's going to soften it off.
Not in this case, because the converter is optically designed together with the lenses. It's not made to fit any generic lens. It's made to fit 5 different lenses that are not that different. And since we made that choice, it actually it does not degrade performance measurably even.
So what you're saying, trust me, aren't you? You're saying, believe me. You stake your reputation on it.
I will stake my reputation on that too.
Okay, we'll look into that. Now, I just wanted to ask you quickly about the actual H body itself.
Yeah.
Is it true it's made entirely of plastic?
Very few parts actually are made of plastic, and the important parts that make up the camera body, like the chassis and the outer shell, of course made from metal.
Right, and the shutters that you put in your lenses, I presume those are also made in Japan?
No, the shutter is a unique Hasselblad design that actually we began the design of before we started the design of the H camera. So it's an old, not that old, but mid-90s we started design of that.
But why is this? Why does everybody keep saying, "Oh, it's a Fuji camera"? I mean, there is a Fuji camera, isn't there, that is based on the H? Is that right?
Yeah. In the agreement we had with Fuji was that they could have a version of the H camera that was to be sold only in Japan. It was called GX645. But actually, the camera body for that was also manufactured in Sweden.
So which parts, can you just quickly run down what's made where out of the system?
Yeah. I'm not sure if you can see that, but
yep.
The viewfinder is made in Japan. The lenses are made in Japan. However, the shutter and aperture unit that's inside the lens is manufactured in Sweden. The camera body is manufactured in Sweden.
Right.
Extension rings, converters, like the 1.7 converter, is manufactured in Japan.
So the
HTS is completely manufactured in Sweden.
So the Japanese are doing the glass, really? Is that right? They're assembling the glass for you?
Yeah.
And what about the digital backs? Where are they made?
The digital backs are made both in Copenhagen and in Gothenburg, Sweden.
Right. All right. I had a question about the autofocus on the H system. I've got a little Canon thing, point and shoot thing, and I've got like 152 different focus points. How many have you got on the Hasselblad?
We only got one that we use.
It's not very many.
No, but the problem for us as a manufacturer is that we are limited to what we can find as components on the market, and all these things are made for 35mm cameras, and you will get 152 AF points very close to the center. It wouldn't make any sense.
So what about the screens on the backs? I mean, I think they've always been a disappointment with all the medium format backs. I mean, the Hasselblad one's not bad, but it's still, I don't think it's as good as some of the some of the iPhone type products you see out there. Why are the screens so rubbish?
Basically the same problem of commercially available LCDs. We of course try to get the very best performance out of the LCDs that we can. We don't do it to annoy you.
You sure about that?
partly.
You're not just holding back these screens, these really nice screens, just because you can.
I have it on my camera, but not on yours.
Well, thank you for that. Well, I think we'll leave that there and talk again soon.
Talk to you soon.